Do buyers pay real estate commission? I think probably lots of people have been wondering this since the news in the United States, maybe some news in Toronto, Canada. We're going to get into that today on the show. We're going to tell buyers exactly when they could be paying commissions, what it says in the contracts about it, all that fun stuff. If you guys have any questions, anybody that's tuning in today has any questions for us during the live show, you can text us at the number at the bottom of the screen for a link and join us here on stage, or you can add questions in the comments. But before we get started, I got some really fun disclaimer stuff to go over, just to make sure that everybody understands we're not here to work with you if you are under an agreement with another realtor. So,
no, ma'am.
Since I'm aging, let me just put my glasses on to read this to you guys.
Like, no offense, but we're not here to work with you. Yeah.
Yeah. If you end your agreement at any time that is over, we'd be happy to work with you, but we're not telling you to do that. Okay, so the contents of this show is for general information purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice. For advice specific to your circumstances, you must consult a licensed professional. Realtors on this show will provide tailored real estate guidance only to their exclusive clients. This program is not intended to solicit those already in a service agreement with another realtor. That's it.
That's it.
Okay. So if you're in a service agreement with another realtor, feel free to listen for general information. But definitely, everybody's situation is unique, and you would need to contact your realtor directly for any questions that you may have.
Yeah, I think that's we should do a whole podcast on agency and like confidentiality. Honestly, I could talk about it forever. Like just as like a small aside as we're heading into that. Like we're just going to talk about real estate because we're real estate nerds and we just love talking about it. It's like a hobby. That's how we became friends because we're both realtors. But Jen makes a really good point when it's unique to your situation. Like sometimes you hear those tales, right? Where someone, they have a realtor, they're working with it. You never know what could be going on with them. Maybe they're going through a crazy divorce. Maybe their house has weird disclosure. I don't know, it could be a million things. And other realtors may have an opinion. Like maybe the seller doesn't tell the other realtor that they're represented and they reach out to another realtor and they get an opinion. And then they think, oh gosh, like I have this new opinion. Like, why isn't my realtor doing that? Well, they don't have all of the information. Like agency means disclosure. It's the person who's acting on your behalf with your permission. And, there can be so many times that, confidentiality means everything. And it is very, very unique.
That is so true.
Yes.
So, talking about service agreements and agency, I think this is actually the right podcast to talk about that. So if you're ready, just kidding.
I'm ready. We're going to make it interesting for you. We promise.
Yeah. Before we answer their question, really, 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 where buyers pay commission does kind of, or how they pay commission or what they pay or could pay, all depends on really the service agreement that you are in with your realtor.
Yeah.
So in Alberta,
where I'm based,
all of Alberta.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're in Calgary or Edmonton. And if you don't like the way I say either of those, you can leave your complaints in the comments.
Not Alberta, if they don't. Calgary.
And I might make a video on it.
In the West, we like to eat our consonants. Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatchewan. It's true.
So when it comes to service agreements, there are some options that the realtor can choose to use.
Right.
Sometimes buyers think that they have the choice to force a realtor to use, but they don't. So honestly, both parties have a choice. Yes. And if your choices align, then it's a perfect match.
Yeah.
But if they don't, you have no right to say to your realtor that they have to adopt, let's say, a non-exclusive agreement when that realtor's business practice is to use exclusive agreements only.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody has a choice, and that's really, there's technically 3. The third one is customer. We don't even talk about that, but like, I think the thing the general public needs to understand, because we've definitely had this happen to us on multiple occasions. Say somebody they technically want to self-represent. That's a customer agreement. All right. So that's a different thing. You don't really have a realtor in that regard. You don't have the advocacy and support. And they'll call up a listing agent and they're like, okay, but I want you to write the offer and I want you to do this. And I like if we don't have to do that, if we feel compromised, right? Even in a customer setting, it is a two-way street in terms of choice. It's the way it works.
And according to Rika, anytime like we show a house to somebody as a buyer, we're required to have one of those agreements in place, whether it's a customer agreement, non-exclusive or exclusive agreement. And so many people just are like, just show me the house. Like, well, yeah, we can, but this is our agreements. And like, for example, for me, when I was working with clients, which I'm no longer working with clients, it was my policy that I would only work with clients that would sign an exclusive buyer rep agreement, because I'm not going to work with people that want to do non-exclusive or customer status. Because if they want me to commit to them and spend my time showing them stuff, that I want them to commit to me. It's my bottom line.
Yeah.
So that didn't work for some people. If they wanted to go see a property, then they can just call another realtor.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. I mean, you do have the option to. So we totally understand that you, the general public, you guys don't know this stuff, right? You don't know that we're being governed by real estate council, where we're supposed to disclose what agency is and what confidentiality is. And the reason it's really important, right? Like back to those people who call up, you get this lovely young couple and they'll call you up as a listing realtor and they'll tell you all of this private information. And then I say, okay, great. Are you working with a realtor? And they're like, yes, I'm working with Mr. Agent from 123 Realty. And for context, that's made up. That's not a real thing. So Mr. and Mrs. Agent are your representative. You just called and told me everything. Like I'm legally obligated to tell my sellers that everything you just said, especially if you're working with a different brokerage. And a lot of people don't really understand that. And that goes full well if you're just, I want to get into the market. I'm going to start calling people. We meet some of our best clients that way. And I think that you don't understand that we don't have a confidentiality agreement. So this isn't about trapping people in a contract by any means. This is about making sure you understand like your rights and everyone's obligations and like what we would do for you. And that protects everybody's best interest. Now, if you don't want to sign exclusive or non-exclusive, and we'll get into the differences right away. If you don't want to do that right away, you can just sign a customer agreement for that particular house.
If your realtor agrees to do that.
If the realtor agrees to do that. So, if that gets you in the door and, obviously if you meet us, you're like, you guys are awesome and we'll be working with you because we love that. And it makes sense. Then yeah, we have different conversations. We cancel that one and we move on and do exclusive or whatever works.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some occasions where I would have done that, but most times I wouldn't. And just so buyers know that even if you're getting an exclusive agreement, it doesn't mean like it's forever. So
yeah,
that's something I want to caution like buyers on. Like say you're like, oh, I understand that. I don't want somebody to work for free for me. I want to, I want to commit to them like they commit to me. You have to be also careful as a buyer that you read the agreement and see the expiry date, because the realtor does not have to let you out of the contract. And there might be a penalty associated with that as well. So we're going to just go over like an exclusive agreement and point out some like key sections for you to pay attention to, whether you're signing up with Kim or somebody else.
Licensed realtor. Yeah. Everybody's different. Just like Jen's saying, some realtors only do exclusive, which that's who we are. Some will do only non-exclusive. I know people like that and they have all their own reasons. Pretty rare. I think you'd find someone who'd only do customer. Those tend to be kind of on a case-by-case basis. Generally speaking, it's often an investor who wants to self-represent, and that's okay. There's room for all of this, you guys. None of this is anti-competitive. But in and amongst all of that, there could be terms that I put in my contract or agreement that Jenn may not. Like, for example, in my exclusive buyer rep, I put a clause in there that essentially says you agree to let me know if there's a property you're interested in, and before you start calling listing agents or going to build or show homes. And that's not to limit you. That's literally to protect you, because that's an opportunity for me to have a conversation with you about what confidentiality is. Like, I don't want you to compromise yourself. Why are you doing that?
Yep. So yeah. So if we start looking at the exclusive agreement, just one second, I printed it here. I don't
Real
have it.
paper? I have it. I
Yeah,
have
I
it
have
on
it
my
on real
iPad.
paper. So I just like to go through it because lots of people don't even realize, like, you know, how many times have you got a call where somebody's like, it's like, we always have to ask, are you working with
Legally
realtors? Have you
obligated.
signed an agreement? They're like, no. What? What? No, I didn't. And then you find out later that they did. And they might honestly have not known that they did. It's because either something unfortunate happened where it wasn't explained to them, where they had like the person felt like they really grasped what the realtor was telling
Yeah.
them, or they just didn't get explained to properly, or the buyer wasn't listening. So since this show is like geared towards buyers, we would recommend that all buyers, before you sign something, don't just listen to what somebody's telling you what you're signing, like read it, like have a read of it. Like this is like
Yeah.
one of the biggest purchases of your life. Like why would you want to commit to somebody like a blanket
Or
commitment,
anything.
like
Like,
without knowing
hundreds
what you're
yeah,
signing up for? Because how many
yeah,
times have you been like, there's not a match? Like it doesn't mean like the realtor's bad or anything, but it's just not a match. Like the people
not a
just
fit.
don't work out and they just want to like try somebody different, but they can't get into their agreement because they're like, oh, I didn't know that there's a penalty. Oh, I didn't know it's February and I signed up till December with this
Yeah,
person, you know?
yeah.
It's like you
Because
can't
here's
get
the
another
thing.
realtor unless you get out of, like, they agree to get out of it or you pay the penalty or whatever it is. So
Yeah, and there are some things in the contract, like, near the bottom, like, how do you make this agreement go away? Like, one of them is you buy a house and it
yeah.
completes. Complete means take possession. In Alberta, that's the same day. In, BC, for example, those are different days. Completion day and possession day are different. That is a whole story for another day. I only learned that last year, which is hilarious to me because I
Oh,
do
really?
so much. Yeah, I do so much relocation, and the agent was like, "Well, when's completion and when's possession?" And I'm like, "I'm very
The
confused by this
same
question. It's
day?
literally the same." So if you buy a house and it like works out and you move it, obviously the agreement doesn't continue. Obviously, we hope you call us if you want to buy something else. But there is a section in there that says basically if either party materially breaches the agreement. So it's a
Mhm.
disclosure and like promissory note on stuff we're going to do for you. So there's a section in there that basically says we're going to help you look for property, we're going to advocate, we're going to give you info, right? So if you sign one of these agreements, this would never happen if you were working with us. Jen's not active, but even when she was, like, we're now friends. Like, I'm your realtor. We're in this together. We're a team. But
Mhm.
we hear stories, and maybe you sign a contract with someone and you don't understand what you signed and no one ever followed up with you. I don't even know if that's legally binding, right? Like if either party, and there's obligations for the buyer as well.
Yep. Yep. So, looking at the exclusive agreement, the first part of the contract that you're going to go over with your realtor is the type of property that you're looking for and the
Yeah.
market area. And this could be very general. So,
Yeah.
lots of times I've seen, or myself, like, unless I knew the person was like specifically looking in Edmonton only, I usually put like Edmonton and area, and then usually like a residential property, or you could say, what do you say on yours?
I think I say condo residential and country residential, Edmonton and surrounding area.
Yeah. So it just covers all your bases in case people like change their mind on what type of property that they want.
Yeah.
And then the next section is important, a very important section for buyers to look at, and it's the agency relationship time frame. So the day it begins and the day it ends. And this ties into some other clauses later on, like for paying commissions or whatever. So if you didn't tell us and you went to, you know, look at a property, you decided to buy it, but you're already under this agreement, then that person that didn't ask you if you had an agreement with us, they would actually not get paid the commissions, and we would get paid the commissions for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but on the other end, like if you went with us, I'm not sure 100%, but I'm pretty sure if it was like something they looked at earlier, unless you wrote a special clause about that, we could like forfeit the commissions, because I think there's a spot where you could list properties that you've
Yeah.
seen ahead of
Yeah,
time.
you can. Yeah, and there's no such thing as threshold rights either. Like, for example, if you're working with someone and you haven't signed with them and you look at 100 properties. I'm not saying this happens. I'm just giving you an example. You look at 100 properties and then you happen to just go to an open house and buy a house with a different realtor.
Mhm.
It's so unfortunate if that happens. It really is. But the realtor that showed you 100 houses isn't getting paid either. So it's just something to know.
Yep. Good section to review, which every realtor would review with you, is the responsibilities that
Yeah.
we have for you. And also very important for buyers to note the responsibilities you have to us.
Yeah. So what are those? Let's talk
So
about that.
they are communicate and cooperate with us.
Yeah. Shocker.
Very helpful. Don't be one of those buyers that's like, oh, my realtor, they seem real busy, so I'm just gonna like see if you could show me the house. Like, no, you're under an agreement like with your realtor. They need to be able to guide you, and they can't guide you properly without you calling them to go see properties with
No,
them.
I have to tell you a story.
Yeah.
This actually happened last year. I got someone who reached out to me and, she had some questions and she wanted to see. And I'm like, I'm happy to answer your question. They're pretty basic, like what school zone is this and all that stuff. And like, how old is the roof? Basic stuff that you can get off the listings. It's not a big deal to chat about.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person wanted to see it. And we had moved into a text message conversation. And basically, I think at first she said she didn't have representation. So I asked her, all right, if you want to buy this property, because it just didn't sound right.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you want to purchase this property, like, do you have somebody who would write the offer for you? I'm like, oh, totally. I'm working with an agent. And I'm like, oh, in that regard, I'm like, and she said she didn't really understand and whatever. And that's neither here nor there. But I said to her, like, why are you not calling your agent? Oh, she's out of town. Like, there's no coverage for me. I don't want to bother her, whatever it was. Right. And she really wants to see this house. She's afraid it's going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, okay, well, who's your agent? Because, honestly, we can get into the complexities of, common law brokerages and stuff, but that's not a conversation for today. But if your agent is, say, someone from my office, I'm just going to call your agent and say, hey, listen, like, we're in the same office. Technically, like, we won't talk about anything private, but like, if you need help showing this property. So she told me who the agent was. And I'm like, I know this person. Like, I'm friendly with this person. So I reached out and I was like, hey, like, if you need help showing this property, like, and your client's okay to sign just like a customer agreement, and I'll just like open the door, like, we can figure this out. And the agent was gobsmacked. She's like, Kimberly, none of this is true. I gave this buyer of mine, who I think was a family member, like, this person was out of town, like in Mexico or something, and had coverage. And the buyer like didn't understand or didn't like the situation or whatever. Like, I cannot legally show you a property if you're under contract with someone else. That's it. Like, full stop. We can't do that. And it's shocking to me how many people, and they say, well, my agent told me to do this. Like, I don't know that agents are actually saying to do this. I don't know where buyers are getting this information. The whole thing about, I'm worried about bothering my realtor is super common. Like, so just put that out of your head. We want you to bother us. Please do. We like
our job, literally.
Our job. We love nerding out on real estate. We want to see the house you're looking at. If we're out of town, you will already know who your coverage is. Like, this is not going to be new information for you. But like, that's the thing. We're not allowed.
And I'm pretty sure if like the person whoever's covering for you, if they just like didn't answer whatever your client reached out to you, you'd be like, oh, they're not getting back to you. So you would find somebody else. Like, your office is huge. Like, you have so many people to choose from there. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So the other section now, this kind of answers the question, do buyers pay real estate commission? So you can find the answer to this in your buyer representation contract.
Yeah.
If you sign a non-exclusive agreement, there's no agreement on commission. So,
yeah, it would be like house by house. There'd be a fee disclosure.
Yeah.
So you sign a non-exclusive, which technically means like you can have other representation. But if you're signing a non-exclusive for whatever reason, you worked that out with your chosen realtor, and that's fine. By the way, we're not anti-competitive here on the Edmonton Real Estate Insider podcast. Then you choose the house you want to purchase. Your realtor will get you to sign another form that basically says, disclosure, this is how much I'm getting paid. Because I actually love that Alberta is great with disclosure and transparency. It kind of is a really nice, because why? Like, transparency is so important. There's nothing to hide here. The big difference is there's no obligation. So let's just say at the end of the day, you go and buy a random house. You technically don't owe your agent anything unless there's some other clause they've added to their non-exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, the non-exclusive just doesn't work because that's what I didn't like about it personally. Like, I have other clients that are exclusive or committed to me. So why would I want to just like randomly show people, like maybe like on the odd occasion, but if it's somebody that's like actively looking and wants me to treat them like an exclusive client, then I'm definitely not going to sign them up on a non-exclusive
Yeah, like
agreement.
it is a business. And ultimately, we understand the privileged position we're in to be able to represent you guys and all
Mhm.
that stuff. But if we're all in with you, we want you to be all in with us. Like we want to be your real estate advisor. You know what I used to tell people when I started in real estate? I'm like, I want to have such a strong relationship that I'm going to sell you your house and you're going to have kids. And in 20 years, your kids are going to call me. And like that has happened. It hasn't been 20 years. But I remember I sold this house to this awesome family in Fort Saskatchewan. I love them so much. And they, their daughter was like 15 or 16 at the time. And now she's like grown and married and in her mid 20s. And like I got to buy and sell with them last year. And it was just my favorite thing of life because we want to be your advisor, like how you have a doctor or a
Yep.
dentist.
Yeah, just be the go-to. And you know how much stress that takes off of the buyer, the people, like you don't even have to like worry about finding somebody if they're going to be, work on the same level as you. You already know somebody.
Yeah.
You already know that they're good.
And they like, if you have a good, because she talked about fit earlier, Jen, you addressed that. And
Yeah.
I think you called it something else like match. Same thing. Fit is everything. So we never get offended. If we like, there's been times where someone's like, Kimberly, you're very outgoing and my spouse is very introverted and your energy's kind of a lot. I get it. I'm not offended. Like this is too much and you don't feel comfortable. Totally fair. But what we would love is if you do feel comfortable and it works out and we have this great relationship, if you are calling me, we are picking up the phone. Like we are picking up the phone, like you're in the inner circle. We're going to help you. Like that's it.
Yeah. And for those people that don't want to talk on the phone, texting is fine. I mean, depends how old you are, right?
Yeah.
Text or call.
Yeah.
Okay. So when do buyers pay commission?
Examples?
I will tell you
Okay.
an example. Actually,
Okay.
I'll tell you exactly when you pay commissions. It's in the contract. So in 7.1 of an exclusive buyer agreement, it says what our fee is. And so whatever your realtor's fee is, they'll put the percentage there or the flat fee or whatever they do.
Yeah.
Plus
Interrupt for a second. Is there such a thing as a set fee? Let's address that up front.
No,
No.
there's no set fee.
That is not a thing.
Anybody can set their own fee for their own business
Absolutely
model.
they can. Yes.
And so if somebody's like, oh, I mean, there's a common number that you would see, like
Sure.
commonly you would see 3.5, the first 100,000 and 1.5, the balance of the purchase price. That's common what you'd see. Like if you're like, oh, let's take a survey. Who does that? Then probably, I don't know, maybe 7 out of 10 realtors do that. I don't
Sure.
know. Maybe
Yeah.
there's maybe they do
I
that
have
and then
no
they
idea.
provide a discount for like repeat clients or
Of
something. Like
course.
it's
Yeah.
really like up to you and the realtor to negotiate your fee. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw a crazy fee offer to you that you sent me the other day, and I was like, and I was like,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
not take that. That is not a good. I mean,
Hey,
good on it
don't
for
have
the
some
buyers
debt.
to try to like
Yeah.
get this fee structure that they want, but I mean, it's a
Yeah.
two-way street. Like,
Yeah.
it's a thing. It's not just like buyers and realtors telling each other what it is.
No.
It's like you want to work with whoever, they have a set fee. And if you can get them to change that, then good, you can work with them.
Yeah.
If you don't like their fee, go find somebody that you like their fee.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people charge more, right? And sometimes there's good context for that. I remember years and years ago. Now, for the fans in the room, I used to sell real estate in Winnipeg. So like the commission structures in Alberta tend to be like a split fee. It's generally a certain percent on the first 100,000 and then a certain percent on the remainder. It's generally like that. Sometimes there's flat fees. In Manitoba, it was just generally a flat fee and there was a range, right? And I remember this one, it was like my client's mom, right? And he called me up and he's like, Kimberly, like my mom keeps falling down the stairs. Like we need to sell our house. And I was like immediately horrified, like this poor woman. And so I'm expecting like this little tiny old lady. She wasn't even that old. Like, I don't know, but like former service member. And she needed a ton of help, like cleaning, painting. So I had it co-listed with a friend and we went over there, like we helped her get rid of stuff. We helped her pack up boxes. We helped her stage and clean. Like we did a lot. And she wanted to pay us like out of pocket. And we said, we tell you what, we'll just add it to the commission because she didn't have a lot of money, but she had equity in the home. So we added like extra money to the commission. Now the buyer's agent realized that we were getting paid more. And he asked me, hey, like, do you mind? Like, can I have some of that? Which is fine. That's an okay question. And we said, no, like that's because we literally took days to help her pack and clean and get ready. And that's a perfectly sufficient answer. So sometimes it is more and that makes sense. And sometimes it's less and that makes sense. Okay. More or less than what the person charges, not more or less than what the average is, because that's not a thing.
Yeah. And so the key though for that, which leads into the next part of this section, is on all currently, and I don't know if it's going to change because of like those lawsuits or whatever that happened, but currently on the agent view of the MLS sheet, it says what percentage of commissions is being offered by the seller. The seller does not have to offer commissions.
Correct.
In fact, they could have a model where they offer 1 penny.
Yeah.
And I think
then it's up to the buyer's agent to negotiate when they submit the offer.
And that's also what says it in here. So that's where the trick is. So, I mean, not the trick, but the key thing for buyers to watch, especially if they're reading this and then they get nervous or whatever about paying commissions. So I'm going to use 2% just because it's easy to explain this. Yeah. So say our fee is 2%. Then it says, if you pay us a retainer, we will apply the retainer towards our fee. The retainer is, some people have a retainer, some people don't. I did not have a retainer.
I don't have retainers, no.
I actually considered though adding it because of the waste of time that I had. Just kidding.
Certain times, sure. Like say you had, I mean, certain investors, maybe you just want to make sure, I don't know, like you show a lot of houses, you need to make sure you're getting paid for your time. I generally don't use retainer.
Yeah, you try to go with like, as long as you're, if you are,
I mean, if you're a serious buyer, we don't care if it takes 1 month or a year. Like we're in this with you. It's a process. We work it together, right? So, but what Jen's talking about with time wasters, that can be really frustrating because you can have people who sign these contracts and cheat on you anyways. And that's like a whole other thing. But sometimes you spend a year showing somebody and you show them 50 properties and then they don't buy, right? So it can be really tough that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know, anyway,
each their own. Like this again, individual. All right. Yeah. So 2%, we're charging 2%. Let's go back to that.
Okay. So then, sorry,
okay.
I got distracted because I thought we had a question, but it was
so we were talking about the difference.
Yeah. No, I got it. So then 7.3. So this is the key part about when do buyers pay commission. So right. You must pay our fee if, while this agreement is in effect, you enter into a legally binding contract to buy a property that matches the search criteria, whether through us or not.
Yeah.
You must pay us even if you don't complete a purchase unless you have a legal reason not to complete it. So that is a situation where you've already removed conditions and then you just decide like you don't want to get the house.
Which is so rare.
Yeah, it's very rare, but we would still actually get the commission.
We could still collect. Now, obviously, I'm just going to tell you, if you're like, oh my God, this terrible tragedy happened, like we're not coming. Like this is not meant to be punitive. It's, you know, every situation has nuance.
It's for those situations where it's just like intentional and like the person's just like screwing around with things. So anyway, so in so many days, you fill in the blank, how many days after this agreement ends, you enter into a legally binding contract to buy a property we introduce you to. During the term of this agreement, you must pay us even if you don't complete the purchase unless you have a legal reason for not completing it. 7.4, you authorize us to ask the real estate brokerage or seller, if the seller does not have a brokerage, to pay out our fee. So that's when you go to that agent sheet and it says like, it's easy if it says like if it matches. Like say it says they're going to pay 2% cooperating commission to anybody that brings a buyer. And then we look at our agreement, it says, oh, our fee is 2%. So then it matches. That's basically like asking. We don't have to really like do an extra step of like asking. We already know it matches. It's advertised as that.
Yeah.
If it's lower than that, then that's right here, you're giving us permission to ask the seller to say like, well, we have a buyer brokerage agreement and this is what our commission is.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to pay that
Yep.
to complete this purchase with our buyer? And sometimes they might say no. Most times they say yes, but sometimes they might say no. So if they say no, that is a point in time where you might have to cover the difference. So say they're offering 1% and and it says our fee is 2%, then you might have to cover that 1%. At this time, you might want to ask us to negotiate with us and see if we need you to pay that. If we want to be stickler to the contract, you would have to pay that.
Yeah. And there's a nuance. Like if it's $500 and they say no, I mean, we're not dying on that hill if this is your house.
But you don't know, some realtor might. So you have to be very careful, right?
You do have to be careful.
I actually had a client that was so contract savvy that we actually had to write an additional clause for this clause.
What did it say?
To say that if the seller does not agree to pay the difference in the fee, that I would discount the rate to the seller fee.
Yeah.
Up as low as like
amount.
a certain amount, like not zero. Like
yeah.
So there's an option. There's like so many creative ways to do contracts.
Yep.
And so
and I think that's fair. I mean, within reason, all of that stuff is fair.
Yeah. So what situations have you had before with this?
Honestly, it sometimes comes down to, let's just say, often I see this more in buyers markets. Okay. So that's where you might have a seller. I'll just use easy numbers. Say a seller purchased a home for 200,000 and this is real. Okay. This stuff has happened in Alberta. Like I would say 2015 to 2019, this was a reality where a person you would not get what you paid for it. You bought it for 200,000 over 5 years. You upgraded the kitchen and put in a fence and it's worth 150. This happens, right? And if you have to sell and you have enough equity or you can work it out, that's no problem. But obviously people are going to be dollars and cents conscious. So I've had situations like that where, I've never had someone try to negotiate with me up front. I put my rate in there and maybe they're offering a little bit less or whatever the case may be, or they're offering the rate that matches, but we're negotiating and we're say like $1,000 apart. And the agent says to me, Kimberly, like everybody really wants to make this work. How about I take $500 off my commission? You take $500 off. That is the easiest. Yes. Now, am I always going to do it? No, not always. Sometimes, if I get a referral from an agent out of town, say someone in Toronto, and they're, I'm fortunate enough to work with a friend of theirs and I'm helping them purchase a home, we already pay a referral fee to that agent. So 25%, this is an industry standard. Some people pay more or less than that, but that's pretty common. So I'm paying 25% to my commission to that realtor in Toronto or wherever. I may be less willing to do it, but ultimately at the end of the day, our job is to represent our client's best interest and get that house. We're just being upfront with you. Like our expectation for our compensation is X. If it's within a reasonable amount, of course, like these are not hills we're going to die on. Am I going to do it for an extremely low amount? No, like we're in business and often, to be honest, I've never really had anybody expect that of me. In fact, there's been times where the other side has, during a negotiation, asked to discount the commission to make it work. And my buyers have been like, no, you are not doing that. Like, that's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. I've had that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So ultimately, every situation different.
There's another thing that people should know as buyers. Like I think buyers often sometimes come to us like from non-exclusive buyers, I would say mostly it happens with, but they expect that that if they just come to us as a non-exclusive buyer or customer, that the seller should reduce their commission. So the seller agrees on a commission with their agent.
Right.
And so they decide how much that they're going to split.
Yes.
So I'm just going to give a simple example. So using the same thing that we're talking about, say my fee is 2%. If the seller signed up an agreement with the seller agent and they decided that the seller's like, oh, I'm going to pay you 6%. But we're going to, and we want to offer actually half of that.
Sure. So 3.
Yeah. So 3%. And then mine's only 2%.
So what happens?
Well, the seller's agent would get 4% unless the seller asks the seller's agent to reduce it.
Yeah. It depends what they advertise too, right?
It doesn't mean that the buyer gets it, but that's what people think. Like people think,
People
well, I'm saving commission by not using a realtor. I'm like, you're not saving shit. Like you think you're saving money because you don't have an agent that doesn't have that, like, and you don't have an agency agreement that has a fee attached to it. The seller and the seller's agreement has nothing to do with the buyer. Like the buyer could literally ask that and maybe the seller would buy into it, but most times those buyers I find want to lowball anyway. So the buyer has no way to tell the seller and the seller's agent how to structure their agreement.
And that's the fallacy. And I think that's what comes into the name of this particular episode is like buyers pay commission, right? Because last I checked, the buyer's the only one writing a check. So inadvertently, yes, of course. Like, that's why you should feel empowered to negotiate or maybe just understand. If you don't understand why your agent is charging what they charge, ask questions, ask what they bring to the table. What's that called? Value proposition. Like, feel free to do that. We love those conversations because we want to help you and we want you to know what skill range we can offer you. Like, we love that. But, where's it going with that?
Yeah, I'm just saying that the buyers have, I don't know, some entitlement. They feel like they have some entitlement to decide what the seller and seller's representative should be agreeing to on commissions. Like, you don't know what they've offered. Like, they literally could have a 6% and only offered 1%. But they're like, we want to make sure our agent is well compensated. But any agent that's coming, we're only going to give them 1% of that full commission.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea what's happening.
No
Doesn't
idea.
mean that it's 50-50 or it's like whatever the general amount is that people are used to seeing.
Yeah. But yeah, like buyers are writing the check. So inadvertently, that's what's happening. But sellers are the ones who are obligated to ensure it's paid out. So like there are situations where the market has turned and someone could be upside down. Like, do you remember back when like the oil crash markets and everything's challenging? We used to call ourselves the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, like when I started in real estate.
Like it's so challenging. You had
2019.
Yeah, frankly, it sucked, right? It was really tough for sellers because you went from explaining to them, okay, A, you're not going to make money. Now we're moving into, you'd be lucky to break even. Now you're moving into, you're losing money. And then you move into, not only are all of you're not making it, you're not breaking, you're losing money, but you're upside down. Like you owe 160, you're going to get 150, you have to sell and you want to pay your realtors. And most people are usually pretty good about wanting, so you have to make sure you've got 20 grand in the bank account to make this happen for you. So you never know, right? And that is commonly misunderstood. And it's interesting when, we don't get a lot of this request. I think colleagues in other jurisdictions where buyers will want like a significant amount of cash back. And that's fine. Like we have business models that do that and that's totally okay. But it's challenging because I find the only time I've gotten those questions are from people who they don't have a realtor. They just want to work with listing agents and they think I'm going to call the listing agent. I've ascertained that there's, let's just say, $5,000 worth of commission on each side, right? They can generally guess. And let's say they're right. They think that means they're going to get the house for $5,000 less, maybe, but that doesn't mean the listing agent who ends up doing all the work doesn't still get paid that money. Like it's a fallacy because you as the buyer really have a right. You have a right to know what the buyer's agent's getting paid if you're being represented, but you don't have a right to the information, I think anyway, in the seller's agency contract.
Yeah, it's true. So I just think it's funny too, because lots of buyers will think that if you have a house, the price of a house, and then you add commissions, then that's the price of a house. But it's not. It's like you get the market value of the house and then the commissions come out of that.
Yeah.
So like in the example you were talking about, like in the crash of 2019, like if you're selling a house for $450,000, the seller bought it for $500,000. They literally have to then say they sold it for $450. So it's $450 plus the commissions is like what they have to pay.
Yeah.
Or
And
like
they know that,
if that's
okay?
a
Like
mortgage.
they've processed their feelings in that. And you'd be surprised how often people are like, I don't care, I just want to get out. Like, I don't care. If you have to sell and you're in that position as the purchaser there, I think you should look at it as it's an opportunity because eventually the market is going to go back up. And
Mhm.
that's the time to buy properties. Like our broker, well, your past broker, but my broker, John Carter, he's really invested in investing, right?
Mhm.
And anytime the market is somewhat challenged, he's like, now's the time. Call your investors, like now's the time to buy. And he's right. But even if you're not an investor, and we always tell people, look, we want to get you a home. We want to get you a home that's
Mhm.
got like dog parks nearby, the kids' schools are nearby, or whatever that looks like for you. But we want to make sure it's something that feels like a solid investment on the same token,
Yep.
right? So if it's a buyer's market, like I think, I don't know, this is just my opinion. Obviously, we're kind of biased, but worrying about 1,000 here or 1,000 there that you're going to get discounted off the price. Of course, we want to get you most amount of money, least amount of time for a seller, and vice versa for a buyer. Obviously, everybody wants the best deal, but look at the trajectory of what this capital investment might make for you. And
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
So, one last thing. I
yeah.
mean, there's a lot of other things on the exclusive buyer agreement that I think should be read in full. And if you don't have a good understanding from you or your realtor, you also have the opportunity to review this with legal counsel.
Yes, you
It
do.
says on it. But one thing that I'd like to draw to your attention, buyers, is 7.8 of the exclusive buyer agreement. And it says, if you change your mind about looking for a property and you tell us in writing, you must reimburse us for our reasonable expenses up to the time you tell us. Reasonable expenses include.
Has to be listed.
Has to be listed. However, some people have held other buyers hostage by leaving it blank. Same on
Why
the
would that hold them
seller's
hostage?
agreement because they're like, oh, I didn't put it, so I'm just going to calculate my reasonable expenses and let you know, and they just
Mm,
hold things up, and then people get frustrated, especially if it's a busy market, because then they're like, well, I don't want to lose this property, so they just end up sticking with the same
right.
person. Um, so in summary, do buyers pay real estate commissions? They can. That's the truth.
Yeah.
They can. Do they typically pay them like out of pocket? Oh, sorry. Do buyers pay real estate commissions out of pocket?
Inadvertently,
I would
always yes,
say
not
they
always out of pocket.
can, but they always sort of do by buying the property
Yeah,
because
yeah,
unless unless the seller is underwater on the property, the seller's actually literally paying the commissions out of pocket.
yeah,
So, um, but if the seller is not underwater and if they have enough equity, then they can probably take it from their equity to pay the commissions. In a very hot market where people are paying over list price or whatnot, then typically the buyer's paying the commissions in that price because it's either the new market price or just an inflated price. So um for the time, Edmonton is so elastic, like it's crazy. You could be like uh just bought in the wrong time and
um,
sell in the right, or you know what I mean? You
yeah,
just be
yeah.
just depends where you are. So like every time nobody wanted to buy a property in 2019, and I was like, you're literally going to tell, if you buy a property this year, you're going to be telling your 2022 friends that you're not lucky that you just did it, because they're going to be like, oh, anybody who bought a property in 2019 in Edmonton was so lucky.
Yeah, so
Were
lucky. You just
they?
made a
Because
decision.
you didn't want to buy a property in 2019 because you thought it was going to keep going down.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tell you, and we should check. I'm gonna get you to check on the stats for this because I feel you're more of a stats aficionado than me. I'm pretty good. Jen's a little better. I think the bottom of the market was January 2020. January 2020, because COVID came and that was like a strange pause button. But I'm telling you, that summer of 2020, the market just started to do this. And then
Mhm.
2022, we had some funnies, right? Because it was crazy in the first half, latter half, we had all of those interest rate adjustments, blah, blah, blah. But I think the cheapest was January of 2020
I'd say, yeah, I don't know for
and
sure,
before,
but
right?
I know for sure between January and when the lift came in about June. So, between January and June, it was like 2020 was the best time you could
Yeah.
possibly, or even a little bit 2009 or like late 2019. It was like very great time to
Yeah,
buy a property. It's
it
just like
was.
2019, you had a lot of supply. By
Yeah,
2020, because of COVID, things started dropping off because people are like, I
yeah,
don't want anybody in my house.
yeah. Fair.
Um,
Yeah, fair. And there's times where I remember this couple that moved here, another family that I love, and I've gotten to work with a lot of their people, and they relocated here from Vancouver because they were like, no, we don't want to rent a basement apartment. We want to buy a house. And at the time, like, I don't remember what they paid for it. That doesn't even matter. But I remember at the time, it was kind of like at the top of their budget. And I remember saying to them, in 5 years, you're going to be like, oh my God, all I pay. And we are there because they're considering selling, right? So we have that conversation sometimes. And I have said to them, do you remember when I said that? Like, I can't believe you could not buy a brand new house nowadays for this ever. Like, that's not going to happen.
I was listening to your story. I was just playing with the thing.
I was wondering who was doing that.
Yeah, that was me, not our moderator, who's doing an amazing job in the background.
Yes, thank you, Podcast Rob.
Yeah, I know it's a little boring, so we didn't get any questions this time, but we just started out, so
yeah, that's okay.
We think that he'll be really busy in the future because anybody that's watching this after it's recorded will hopefully want to pop on here and ask us some questions because we're friendly.
And it's a really important conversation that we need to have. Transparency, like we said, is key.
Exactly. Yeah. And I have all this information that I had from real estate that I just love sharing with people. And plus your stories are amazing, Kim. So
I know. I think I do this job because when I write my memoirs, when I'm in my 60s, it's not going to be throwing anyone under the bus. It's going to just be fabulous story after fact because you guys are all fabulous. But like hands down, Jen is probably smarter with like the basic stuff. We're both just a couple of real estate nerds. Like, let's be so for real.
Yeah. It's too bad I'm not doing it anymore. But I mean, I have luckily have two loves of career loves.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm doing the other one right now. So, okay. So look at this picture of Edmonton. Isn't that nice? Like that's a nice nighttime picture. We're gonna add some
it's
new
winter
ones
too. So like to imagine.
The winter? Dang it. Okay, I'll get it. Oh, look at that.
Like
our moderator's switching it up for us.
Yeah. We love that.
Nice.
This one's Christmas too. Do you see on the Telus building how it's got like that?
Oh yeah. I have some really good shots that I went around with a photographer in Edmonton, and it's not that Samir guy or whatever on Instagram. He's pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be like that quality, but they're still pretty good. I'll get them on here so we can show them next time. Maybe I don't even know. We'll try to figure out if we can do like some video backgrounds, maybe with us talking on the side too.
We can go get some.
Well, yeah, we'll look at that. So if any of you are interested in reaching out to us, to, I don't know, use us, buy.
Or like suggestions for topics.
Oh, look at that video.
I like that. We're going to need to see one where the bridge is all lit up with Oilers colors. I think that should be like a goal we need to get. Because
Oilers season's just
an Oilers fandom podcast. Let's be real.
I mean, I have a great video of me chanting. Like. So reach out to us. My number, that's my phone number on the bottom of the screen. I'd be happy to get you guys in touch with Kim or comment here on our channel, and we will reach out to you. There's in the show notes or the description, there's all sorts of ways for you to find us or contact us. If you have just simple questions or you're starting to look like Kim's a relocation expert. She's very much the most perfect person that you can use to find real estate in Edmonton area. This is why I partnered with her, because I only would use the best. And so there's that. Then the other thing was, if you mention to her,
mention the podcast.
If you mention this podcast or this YouTube video that you found us through our live videos, we have a special gift for you. Yeah, we're going to send you a gift. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's pretty cool.
All right. Okay, let's tie it up. What are some like top tips? You're a buyer that you want to make sure you ask your agent when they're going through this contract. Like, what would you say is important for a buyer to ask if they ask nothing else?
So obviously you want to know if you're going to be on the hook for any commissions.
Yes.
And if you don't jive with the person, how much it's going to cost to get out of it. So those are two. Another thing. So actually, if I was a buyer, I'm going to tell you this way. I would do 100% do an exclusive buyer agreement with somebody because I want them to give me all the stats, all the information that they know about the communities. I want them to treat me like they treat their other
Insider.
buyers.
Right?
Yeah, I want the inside scoop, like here at Earl. If you're wondering what that is, Real Estate Insider Live, and that's what you're watching, Earl.
So
Okay,
Edmonton.
yeah. So definitely sign up an exclusive agreement. I would not do it long term. So I would say that it's fair to work with somebody for 30 days and then re-sign maybe longer term if you're comfortable with your realtor.
Yeah.
Check the commissions, what you could be on the hook for. If you are worried about paying a difference between commissions, you can get a special clause added to the contract where you would come up with an agreement if they, something different or not. Like your realtor doesn't have to agree to that, but something you could do. And then also like check that section 7.8 where if you need to exit the agreement, how much it would cost you. If the agreement expires, you should have no fee. So do not take a bill and pay it from a realtor. If the agreement expires, it's done. It's over. If you buy a house, it's over.
People do that? That's funny.
I don't know if people do that, but I would not be
Anything
surprised
can
if
be
people do
possible.
that. And also, if you buy a house with somebody and then your contract closes and then I don't know, you have your kid that wants to buy a house, but you're paying for it or something, you need to sign a new agreement. Like it's not a forever agreement. So
I mean,
anyway,
it's a forever agreement in our hearts, but like, remember how we said there's like a way to get out of this? It's like if the contract completes, it's automatically just like it's gone full circle.
Yeah.
Like it's done. You've paid the bill and that's all good and well and good. Okay. So the things that I think are really important in and amongst all of that, understand what you're signing. Like Jen and I are friends outside of real estate. She knows I have like a life list of things that I think are my life rules. And one of my life rules is read what you're signing and get it in writing. Like that's like just in general, as a human on earth, you should be doing that. I think it's an opportunity for you to discuss any like specific things you want about a property, right? So you ever have a client who, I had a client there from Korea and they really needed their house to face a certain direction. Like now's the time to tell me this stuff. We love cool things like that. And, if you need to close on a certain day because, your spirituality said like, we need to know stuff like that. And there's no wrong answers. Like I get a lot of people who like homeschool their kids, right? So they need to have an extra rec room in the basement so that they can have a homeschool space for their kids. I love that. Like we need to know this kind of stuff. This is what's important. And this is what's going to make the experience really curated and unique for you.
Okay. So, I believe correct me on the next one if it's not correct, but
okay.
So you guys can find us live here twice a week.
Yeah.
Twice a week. So if Sundays don't work for you,
that's okay.
Mid-afternoon, that's fine. You can catch us here on Thursday evenings.
Yeah.
After 5.
Like after dinner?
Yeah, I'm not really sure the exact time, but definitely not too late because I'm Eastern. So there's some people maybe in Toronto area that would be on Eastern time as well. So maybe like 5 or 6 Edmonton time, which would be 7 or 8 Eastern. And anyway, we're done for today.
Yeah,
so
we're done.
Moderators like, you guys wrap it up. We got to
wrap it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Podcast Rob's in charge. You can always catch this on the Edmonton Real Estate Insider YouTube, and then I'm sure we'll be advertising it in other places.
There he is. He's kicking us out. So we're done.
We're done.
Okay, see you guys on Thursday.
3, 2, 1.